I think that Bitcoin is going to replace real estate and bonds and gold and second home, right? I mean, that's where all the money is, right? There's no rich person that's rich by owning dollars, right? So
No way.
rich people own city blocks in New York City.
Exactly.
So rich people are going to sell their city block in New York City for a block of Bitcoin. And then we're still going to use yen and dollars and CNY to buy coffee with. You know, these currencies don't go away until the nation states go away. Well, I think the point that I would make there that's very important is I don't think there's a worldwide attack on Bitcoin. I think that there's a worldwide regulatory crackdown on a lot of crypto ideas, like a digital currency, a digital security, a digital exchange, and a digital token. But those are all related ideas, but they're not Bitcoin. If we take Bitcoin, which is the idea of a digital commodity, which is the store of value or digital property, that has been endorsed by 4 presidential candidates. Kennedy and DeSantis both have endorsed it. It has been endorsed by the head of the CFTC and the head of the SEC. It has been adopted. It has been acknowledged as a legitimate asset by the head of the European Central Bank and by the head of the Federal Reserve. And it has been acknowledged as an asset by the White House. So it has also been acknowledged by Fidelity and by BlackRock, right? The 2 largest money managers in the world. So if you're looking to the world to see, are they going to acknowledge Bitcoin as an asset class and as a legitimate crypto commodity? I think you have your answer. There is no government in the world I'm aware of that's banning it. Even the Chinese aren't banning the ownership of Bitcoin. What they're attacking is potentially the mining of it or the crypto trading. And there's a lot of controversy around, can I issue a stable coin? Can I issue a security that's a crypto token? Can I trade? Can I issue crypto derivatives? And we could talk about any of those things if you want. But the most important point to take away is you should separate Bitcoin from crypto. Crypto is about a dozen very progressive ideas, many of which are threatening to the establishment. Bitcoin is one overarching revolutionary idea, the idea of digitally transforming property and putting it in cyberspace. The separation of property from Earth, the idea that you could own $1 billion of property that's in cyberspace as opposed to $1 billion building, right? Sometimes we call it the separation of money from state, but really, a more profound idea is Bitcoin is the first tangible digital property in the history of the human race. And if it was nothing more than that, that's worth hundreds of trillions of dollars. It's a big, big idea. And you don't need to change the currency or change any other law, right? Every nation on earth would benefit from having trillions of dollars of digital property because the digital property is the basis of the 21st century economy.
I agree, because growing up on social media, I understand that, I was buying digital property online all the time.
So the important point there is everybody needs a checking account and they need a savings account. And the checking account is going to be the currency. The savings account is what you're holding to retire on or give to your children's children. So Bitcoin doesn't need to replace the currency to be useful or successful. If you live in Argentina right now, as long as there's an Argentine government, you're going to need the peso. And you're going to want probably 90 days worth of peso. Then you're probably going to want 3 years or 1 to 3 years worth of dollars, the world reserve currency. And then all the rest of your money, you're going to want to convert into property. And your choice is either to buy stationary property like a ranch or a building or a company, or to buy Bitcoin. And so you see, sometimes people, they think that somehow Bitcoin won't succeed unless it becomes a currency, but that's not true. 95% of the wealth in the world isn't the currency, it's a property. And so if Bitcoin is simply the long-term savings account, it'll be fine. Just like if you owned a building, you don't need to use it to buy coffee. Right?
No.
Like if I gave you a building, you would take it, and if I then said, well, it's not valuable because you can't buy coffee, whether you would say, silly, I'm keeping the building, and if I want to buy coffee, I'll take a loan against the building, I'll put that into a savings account, or I'll convert that into a checking account and I'll fund my credit card, right? And then I'll buy coffee. So ultimately, I think you should just keep them separate. As long as there are nation states, there will be currencies. You don't need to be a currency. If you live in a war zone where there is no nation state, yeah, then you'll use Bitcoin to buy things. But if you live in the United States, you need the Bitcoin so you don't get poor over the course of your life. You don't need the Bitcoin to buy the coffee. You can use the dollar to buy the coffee. Today I tweeted, I said Bitcoin is a natural right.
Exactly. Life, liberty, and property.
It's like, and a lot of people haven't grasped that idea that Bitcoin is really the only property in the history of the human race that you can truly own. It's the only thing that you can take with you to the grave. It's the only thing that no one can take away from you with force. And that's a pretty profound idea. But let's think about the history of humanity. I teach you fire. And once you learn the trick of fire, then you don't have to ask anybody's permission to start a fire. I can drop you anywhere in the world and you know the trick of fire, you can start a fire. It's not easy to start a fire, right? You might burn yourself on the fire. But the point really is everybody in the world has the ability to take advantage of fire if they learn the trick. And it did elevate us, from all the other mammals, and it made a big difference to the human race. Let's say I teach you math. Maybe I teach you 4 plus 4 equals 8. I can teach you arithmetic. I can teach you algebra. I can teach you geometry. Geometry can be pretty useful at estimating, how to build a bridge or how to construct a shelter. Maybe I teach you calculus. Calculus and higher level math can be very useful when you're building structures if you don't want them to collapse on your head.
I used to love calculus.
No one can take it away from you. You see, once you've learned it, right, you don't have to ask permission to do math. I mean, the scientific revolution was an example of people saying, I'm going to teach you optics and math and the like, and you can actually create buildings and machines with it. And it is profound. So then I teach you language, English. You can think in it. You can communicate in it. You don't have to ask anybody's permission to do something with it. You can write your life history down. You can write things you want to remember down. It's kind of useful to be able to write and use words. Bitcoin is a monetary protocol. So it's another protocol, just like a math protocol, a language protocol, or fire, which is really a chemical. It's a chemical protocol or an energy protocol, if you will. They all matter. They're all types of knowledge. Once you understand it, nobody can take it away from you. And it is the basis of providing the utilitarian entitlement of property rights to 8 billion people. In a world without Bitcoin, your property rights come from owning land, owning gold, owning a company, owning a bond, owning a painting, owning a car. But the problem with that is that someone more powerful than you can just take it away from you. They either coerce you to take it away, or they just shoot you and take it away. Or when you flee the country, you have to leave it behind. And so all these other properties, they're what I call stationary, visible. Mostly stationary, visible properties. And in a world where all your property is stationary and visible, then there is an encouragement to corruption and violence. The politicians the mayor, the governor, the head of the country, they're going to tax your property. They're going to take it away. They're going to regulate it away. And there's nothing you can do about it. And if you're lucky enough to be loved by your country, then the foreign country, when they come across your border, they're going to take everything. So there's an incentive toward war, toward violence, and toward corrupt politics when all your property is visible. When your property is invisible and when it is mobile, when if we take, for example, Bitcoin that you've got self-custody of, well, if a nation invades your nation, the Bitcoin's not going to be there, or you can flee and take it with you. You can't take your building with you. You can't take 100,000 acres with you, right? So there's not much point to war if the property is going to move faster than the tanks and the ships. And then if the nation you live in, if it passes a property tax, on your home, 2% a year, well, they'll just take the entire place in 30 years. They're going to take your property in your lifetime, and you can't move it. That's the state in most places where they just tax it away until you don't have any more. You ever heard the famous trope, lost the family farm because we couldn't pay the taxes.
It's horrible. It's a way to kind of keep you behind so you can't get ahead.
Yeah, it's a human condition my grandchildren couldn't afford the taxes. They had to sell the family farm. Well, why is that fair? Why is that right? It's not really right, but it is what it is. If all your property was in Bitcoin, if it's digital property, when the county adds a property tax, you move to a different county. When the city has a property tax, you move to a different city. When the country has a property tax, you move to a different country, right? And because it's hard to tax, they're not so likely to do it, because there's not much point in attacking someone that can run away, right? What happens is it's survival of the fittest. The political system is going to attack the immobile. It's like we chop down the trees, but we don't chop down the people that run faster than us, or the people in the fighter jets. We don't chop them down. What's the difference, right? It's the mobility. So I think that this is pretty profound, because Bitcoin allows 8 billion people to own their property, and it allows them to move their property.